Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So I thought today I'd talk about some Aeolian stuff. I know I haven't really talked about modes so much in this. I actually don't really particularly like... I'm just going to bring that volume up a touch. I don't particularly like to think about modes a lot of times when I play. To me, it's a really weird way of thinking about music. But I realize some people think that way, so I thought, well, why not? I'll discuss the Aeolian mode. For me, it's all about melody. So, if we take the Aeolian mode, these are your notes. Hopefully you can see this. Let's do that again. So the notes are G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, and G. Right? So, if you didn't catch that, just go over it a few times until you get it. But basically, the idea of that is it's essentially B flat major, but we're starting from a G. So there's a couple of ways of looking at it. I don't really like thinking B flat major. For me, it's a G-based scale. So I think G, that's my home, right? That's shape number one. Of course, there's shape number two, which is here. Which is basically like B flat major. It's not B flat major because we're over a G chord. But to me that's shape number two. Looks like B flat major. Shape number three looks like C Dorian. Shape number four looks like D Phrygian, if you will. And that shape number five looks like F Mixolydian, and then we're back to, which is the octave of where we started. And it's worth looking through all those five shapes to make sure you know that. Of course, you might only use one shape, that's fine. But you'll notice when I did that little solo at the beginning, I was kind of going between all of these shapes, because to me it's like I wanna wherever I am on the neck, I want to be able to go, right, that's that thing there, and be able to get through the shapes rather than playing one shape to moving to the next shape and then moving to the next shape. To me, that's not particularly good improvising to have to kind of think shapes. To me, the shapes are just a starting point to get me to play music, which is melody. And my melody, I want to be able to go wherever my melody takes me, but be able to play that within the context of a song. Right? So, soloing wise, if we look at what's going on there, I'm thinking G minor, right? But out of that, I'm looking for two main arpeggios. So G minor 7, just G, B flat, D, and F. Of course, up an octave. And then, as part of that. And then I'm looking for where the C minor arpeggio is in that. So I have G, B flat, C, E flat, G. Right, I'll just continue up an octave. And I'm looking for the differences between the two and the similarities between the two. I know the G note is the same in both, right? Both have that G note. So for me, that's a really good note that I can kind of lean on if I need to. I know that the B flat note is the same in both because I'm thinking C minor 7, right? Has a B flat note in it. So again, I lean on that note. Now, where the points of difference are, the G minor chord would have a D, and the C minor chord would have an E flat. Now, of course, the D note works perfectly fine over the C minor chord. You get a minor 9 sound, right? That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But that's one of the points of differences. So I make that a target note, right? I'm going... Right, I'm trying to lean towards it when I'm getting to that next chord. Right, the G minor 7, the next chord note would be an F. right, which doesn't really belong in the C minor 7, but you could look at it as the 11th. That's also a good note to do. But really the one key note that I'm looking for is going from that D note to the E flat. So I look at where all of those are on the neck. D to E flat. If you want to play it up that high. And I kind of make melodic ideas that make use of that in my practice. See there, I'm kind of leaning on it. So there I went up to the G on the C minor chord, but I worked my way back down to the E flat note. And I remember it being explained to me that it's kind of like, think about it like when you're cooking. If you cook a steak, for example, if you eat steak, you might put a little bit of salt on it and a little bit of pepper. And if you put a little bit of pepper, it can really taste great, right? But you put too much pepper on and you wreck it. And you can't undo it. And I kind of look at this in the same kind of way. If I overdo this, that E flat note, there's no coming back from it. I've slammed that note down the audience's ears, and it's just too much. So for me, it's like I use all these things sparingly. You know, I'm going from one thing to the next thing, and I'm trying to like create melodic ideas, but I'm also trying to keep it interesting. I think it was Sting who said that, you know, when he's listening to music, he wants to hear surprises. So I kind of look at that. So these are things that I do to establish the harmony, and I'm thinking Dorian, but I'm also like interjecting other things as well. Maybe chromaticism or passing notes. I'm going to talk about side slipping at some point in these lessons. I might side slip to create tension and release. Maybe I'll imply chords like, right, a minor 2-5-1. Etc, etc. You get the idea, right? I'll imply chords. I'm always thinking about what kind of shape I'm going to take with a solo, right? Am I going to start sparse and kind of build up and go somewhere? Am I going to start really big and sort of bring it down and tail it out in a solo? Whoops. Am I going to... is it just going to float the whole way through and never really go anywhere and just kind of be this thing that does that, you know? There's so many different shapes a solo can take, but I'm thinking about that. A lot of times I don't really preconceive this stuff when I play. Like I will when I practice. When I'm practicing, I'll sit down in this room, get my guitar out, and I go, right, I'm going to work on doing this specific thing, this specific shape. So maybe I'll go, okay, I'm going to be G Aeolian today, and I'm going to try and play this particular chord change and this particular sound. Whatever it is. When I play gigs, I don't think about any of that. I've had a few questions about that, actually, what I think about when I play. And for me, I don't think about anything. I'm thinking about like probably the only thing I'm doing is just trying to let things flow. So when I'm playing, like I'm listening, I actually am asking myself questions. Like there is a question I'll ask myself often when I play is like, what needs to happen right now? Is the rhythm feeling good? If it's not, then I try and lock it in. Is the harmony being established? Then I lock that in. All those sorts of questions. Is my sound good? But ultimately, I'm just playing and I'm trying to go with the moment. I hope it's been useful. If you've liked this lesson and this video, give me a subscribe, give me a like. All that stuff helps. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I do YouTube videos every day. I'm away this weekend. We're going away for 3 days, so I'm going to take my setup and try and do some kind of version of this. And I've got a couple of things ready to go. I've got my bassman back there. If you can see that, I'm actually playing through my fractal at the moment, which is what I use 99% of the time. But my bassman's getting some new tubes in it, and I wanted to try it out before I got the new tubes in to see if I'd really notice a difference. One of the tubes is sounding pretty microphonic at the moment, so that's why I'm replacing it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I'll do a video and show you kind of what the Fender Bassman clean sound is like. A lot of people have never really heard one, and to me that's the greatest clean sounding amp ever. It's the Fender Bassman. Anyway, take care, people. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. Cheers.